scars on her face, a life of agony. She falls from grace. There's no light. She tries to find a way out of the dark, guided by her heart. No phantom glory, trapped in a story. Nothing changed. She caught in a dream. Nothing changed. She really wanted peace. After demons call, she has to fall to rise. I still see what she wants to be, a star on the sky. She wants to fly. She still tries, but break down and lies. But she's fallen down with a golden crown. She wants only glory, trapped in her story. Confession. Can you see the scars on her face, a life of agony? She falls from grace. There's no light. She tries to find a way out of the dark, guided by her heart. No phantom glory, trapped in a story. Nothing changed. She caught in a dream. Nothing changed. She really wanted peace. After demons call, she has to fall to rise. I still see what she wants to be, a star.
All right, everybody, you are in for a treat tonight. We've got a great show lined up. Welcome to the Barbecue Show, brought to you by Owl's Nest Barbecue. We've got Aaron Carver in the studios tonight, producing and directing the Facebook side of the show. Jeff Maxwell is at his house, monitoring the chat room in Facebook, welcoming everybody and entertaining everybody with his wit and repartee. And we'll be simulcasting on WGOW Talk Radio 102.3 here in Chattanooga in just about 2 or 3 minutes. We'll be calling in, so y'all just bear with us. Rod Gray is on the show tonight from Kansas. Pellet Envy. If you're in the barbecue community, you know Rod. Great guy, smart guy, successful guy, a really cool guy. And we're going to be talking to Rod. We're going to try to get Rod to kind of transcend, so to speak, professional barbecue, competition barbecue into backyard barbecue practices, organization skills, flavors, meat profiles, flavor profiles, meat tenderness, and things of that sort. Kind of help us that do mostly backyard stuff. Maybe get some tips from somebody like Rod Gray, who has reached the pinnacle in barbecue, and always helpful hints. And then the second part of the show, we've got local barbecue sensation David Bacon will be here. And David did a brisket cook last week. He gave me a call and said we talked about brisket a little bit, because everybody knows I am the brisket whisperer, right? And I gave him some suggestions, and he put them to use. And we're going to go through that cook, and we're going to talk about brisket tonight in the second part of the show. So it ought to be an interesting conversation. And what's so cool about it now is you can call 267 1023, 423-267-1023, and you can be on the show live. Aaron, go ahead and call the studio. We'll get Joe on the line. What's up, Kent? Daddy Dutch? We have to call the radio station, then we have to turn around and call Rod Gray, get everybody in line. Now, our producer does a sports show.
Hello.
Hey, babe. What's up?
Not much. Let me put you on hold, make sure you can still hear, okay?
Okay, good deal. That's a good idea.
Concede the race that he's projected to have lost to Democrat Joe Biden.
It's clearly not in his psychological.
You good?
Got it. Perfect. Hey, did you get the bumper? Did you get the bumper music I sent you?
I did.
Yes.
I didn't open it. Was it just one song?
Yeah, right. Just one song.
Okay.
All right, we're gonna go ahead.
Yeah, I got it.
I'm gonna go ahead and call my guest and get him ready to go.
Okay.
All right.
We'll be on here in about 3-4 minutes or so.
Good deal.
All right, hang on.
Electoral vote challenge to 306 projected votes. That state today beginning a hand recount of all of the ballots that were cast in last week's election, about 5 million. News is also projecting that President Trump will win North Carolina. There was a deadly explosion today at the VA hospital in West Haven, Connecticut. A hospital employee and a contractor were killed, and 3 others were injured. Authorities say the blast occurred at the base of steam pipe was being
Do I sound okay?
Stocks closed higher today. The Dow up almost 400 points. You're listening to ABC News.
A little bit of echo?
Yeah, just a little bit of
Tonight,
feedback.
mostly clear and cool with an overnight low near 43.
I'm having trouble
Probably
going over
Sunny
this.
skies
probably
up
go
to
away when the break's
69
over.
for a high. Tomorrow night, partly cloudy, gusty winds and a low around 55. For Sunday, a 40% chance of morning
Hey, Rod,
showers.
what I'll do
By afternoon, mostly sunny,
is I'll do a
windy,
little show
and a high near
opening. If you'll just
66.
sit there and
Sunday
wait for
night,
me to
clear and
introduce
40.
you.
Monday,
And then
sunny
you'll know when
skies
to
with a
come
high
on,
near
okay?
63. I'm Greg Schaefer on WGOW.
I've heard it all. The guy at the other tire store said they were as good as Michelin.
Tough.
I'm not going to have this car much longer, so I don't need Michelin.
Just hang on.
I like to
what
have
do.
Michelin.
It's easy.
Yeah, I'll just hang on.
Yeah.
Let me assure you, there is no tire as good as a Michelin. You need the best tire, and that's Michelin. At the Midnight Oil in Ottawa, we make Michelin tires affordable. Call us at the Midnight Oil, 643-1111. Give us
For all
your
the people
size
on
and your
Facebook,
price.
Rod
Because the
Gray
leader
is
in
joining
tires
us
is
first.
Michelin.
Then David
Midnight
Bacon
Oil in Ottawa.
will be joining us in the second part.
Welcome to the weekend, and welcome to The Barbecue Show with Steve Ray. The Barbecue Show is brought to you by the Altus Barbecue Supply and Pro Shop in Ottawa, by the historic Midnight Oil Service Station in Ottawa, by Michelin Tires, because so much is riding on your time, and by all the great barbecue products and supplies at the Owl's Nest Barbecue Supply and Pro Shop. I know you've got questions, we've got answers, so pick up the phone, 423-267-1023, and let's talk some barbecue. The reviews have been read and the verdict has been delivered. For value, ease of use, dependability, and great tasting food, the judges pick the Green Mountain Grill. At the Owl's Nest Barbecue Supply and Pro Shop, we have all 3 Green Mountain Grills plus plenty of accessories, plus free assembly and instruction. You'll love the way your food tastes, and the versatility of the Green Mountain Grill is second to none. It's yours at the Owl's Nest Barbecue Supply and Pro Shop in Ottawa. The reviews have been read and the verdict has been delivered. For value, ease of use, dependability, and great tasting food, the judges pick the Green Mountain Grill. At the Owl's Nest Barbecue Supply and Pro Shop, we have all 3 Green Mountain Grills plus plenty of accessories, plus free assembly and instruction. You'll love the way your food tastes, and the versatility of the Green Mountain Grill is second to none. It's yours at the Owl's Nest Barbecue Supply and Pro Shop in Ottawa. I know you've been looking for a place like this, well, so was I. And that's how the Owl's Nest Barbecue Supply and Pro Shop began. The best selection of barbecue rubs, sauces, supplies, and friendly advice in the Chattanooga area. You want a rub that's sweet but not too spicy? You've got it. You want a mustard-based sauce? We've got that too. Need it? We've got it. At the Owl's Nest Barbecue Supply and Pro Shop in Ottawa. It's where Chattanooga goes to barbecue.
This is the best in talk radio. This is the Dave Ramsey Show.
Every day I get calls from people in difficult situations. Maybe you've been furloughed. Maybe this crisis has put a strain on your relationships. Or maybe you're just scared. You don't know where to start. Well, I'm here to tell you guys that there is hope. We'll walk with you and show you how to take control of your life and your money right here on The Dave Ramsey Show. The Dave Ramsey Show, weekdays at 1 on 102.3 FM, WGOW.
WGOW-FM.
Talk Radio 102.3.
Talk Radio 102.3.
I know you've got questions, you've got answers. So pick up the phone, 423-267-1023, and let's talk some barbecue. That's right. We're going to talk some barbecue tonight. This is Steve Ray coming to you from the Owl's Nest Barbecue Studios in Ooltewah. It's the weekend. Let's get the barbecue show going. 267-1023. 423-267. That is our phone number. 423-267-1023. If you've got questions, I've got answers to your grilling and live fire cooking this weekend. Our broadcast partner is Backyard Smokers Barbecue on Facebook, the #1 destination for questions, answers, and even if you want to post some pictures and, do a little bragging, go to Backyard Smokers Barbecue on Facebook. Joe Varner's in the studio producing the radio side of things. Aaron Carver's here in the Owl's Nest Barbecue studio producing and directing the video side, and Jeff Maxwell is your host in the Facebook chat room this evening. We're in touch, so you get in touch too. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube. And don't forget, all of these shows are on podcast. Simply go to your favorite podcast destination, and you can find us under Owl's Nest Barbecue. 423-267-1023. Let's get right to it, folks. We got a great guest coming to you right now. Our first guest started in a barbecue just like you and I did. He rose to the pinnacle of success when his barbecue team, Pellet Envy, was named the KCBS Team of the Year. He's been competing on the KCBS Barbecue Tour for more than 15 years. And along the way, he has engineered a barbecue brand that is one of the top teams, top barbecue class operators, and the purveyor of Eat Barbecue, which is a line of barbecue rubs and sauces, and also available at my place, Owl's Nest Barbecue. The man who is responsible for Robbie Royal's sleepless nights, the one and only Rod Gray. How you doing, Rod?
I'm good. Is Robbie sleeping better now? I think he is.
I tell you,
I think he is.
I think it took years of therapy to get over that. How you doing, man? Good to hear from you.
No. He turned around and won that show the next season, so I think he's been sleeping well for a while. I'm doing great, Steve. I'm excited to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
Oh, you bet. It's good to have you on, Rod. It's good to have all your products in my store at the Owl's Nest Barbecue store. We've got the complete line of Eat rubs and sauces, and we had a big shindig there last weekend, Rod. And I'm going to tell you, we moved a lot of your product. It was a real eye opener to watch. We had about 40, 50 people go through there, and they were scouring all the different rubs we had, and it seemed like everybody gravitated towards your stuff. And we're talking about it. And of course, we had the sample bar open. Everybody was getting samples of it, and it was just a great time. And I was glad to have your product part of it.
Well, thank you for including me. It's an honor to be in your store. It's exciting. It energizes me when folks get excited about barbecue and about my barbecue products. So it's always exciting to hear stories like that. I appreciate it.
You bet. Hey, Rod, let's just get right into it. We since 2010, barbecue has really exploded nationwide, especially in the backyards. And before we get into the methods and flavors, what are the questions and concerns that the backyard cooks come to you with at the schools that you operate?
Backyard folks typically ask questions about when are things done, about tenderness, about keeping moisture in their product, some about running fires, although most of the guys with pellets don't ask those questions, but I get lots of questions about what, the best pellet to use. And but most of the questions center around some impatience that a backyard cook has towards getting the product cooked enough to be tender. They're anxious to get it off that pit and try it. And And the number one mistake I think they make is they get in a hurry. Barbecue's done when it's done. Unfortunately, the good news is it holds pretty well once it is done. So I try to teach them to have more patience, to get started earlier, and to know that barbecue will hold until they're ready to serve it.
That was one of the biggest surprises I had when I started doing the competition side of things, was how long you could hold barbecue in the Cambros and how long you could keep it hot and still have a good product.
Yeah.
It was amazing. Yeah. Let's get to some grills and stuff. You know, it's jammed, Rod. The market's jammed with different cookers, pellet cookers, and you've seen them all. For the backyard person, what does somebody like you recommend that somebody like myself that does most of their cooking in the backyard now? What do you think is the best vessel for that person?
Well, this is such a generic answer that it's probably a letdown for most people, but you need to pick a pit to pick your machinery. You need to pick something that you are excited to cook on and that you can focus on for a while. I equate barbecue pits to golf clubs. Before I cooked barbecue, I played a lot of golf, and I wasn't very good. But I love buying new equipment, and every year something new would come out because that's the way the industry works, and I'd buy it. And finally somebody put their hand on my shoulder and said, Rod, stop buying new equipment. You need to learn to work with what you have. That's probably the best thing anybody ever told me in golf, and that's probably the best thing I can tell anybody in barbecue. Whatever it is, pick something that you get excited to cook on, that you're not going to be straying from and looking for a new pit in 6 months to a year, and learn that pit. Learn the intricacies of it. Learn the hot spots. Learn the cool spots. Learn how it reacts to wind. Learn how it reacts to cold or rain. And once you master that pit, you'll turn out amazing food every time. Having said that, a more automated pit, Steve, is the best choice for somebody getting started. You know, there's a lot of things to focus on when you're cooking barbecue. So if you pick a pellet pit, for example, where you just dump a bag of pellets into it, set a temperature, and that cooker takes that off your plate, so you can focus on how the meat looks and getting the meat done and spraying the meat and getting it wrapped and getting it off. That's a great way to start. It's almost like training wheels, and a lot of guys are like, oh, I want to manage the fire. I got to tell you, I probably would never have been in competition barbecue had it not be for pellet pits. It let me practice so much and so often and so effortlessly that I'm a huge fan and always will be.
You know, the pellet cookers, I just got into them in January, and I think it was good that I learned how to manage a fire on a lot of different cookers. But on the pellet cookers, you can focus more on the product itself. You're not having to worry about messing with the fires and moving them around and stuff like that. You can really, I think, you can really concentrate on the tenderness of the meat and moving the meat around on the grill instead of moving wood around in the grill.
Oh, I couldn't agree more. In fact, what it lets you do is focus on the meat and look at the details. Then when you move on to a pit that takes a little more effort to manage, like a stick burner, you already know what you want your meat to look like. You know when something's going wrong, if it's turning gray or if it's turning black or if it's got a strange color, and you can better manage that while you're managing your fire on the other pits. I love all kinds of pits. People don't know this about me, but I cooked competition on a traditional offset, a stick burner, since 2007. I still have a pellet pit on my back deck, and I love pellets. And without pellets, I wouldn't be in barbecue. But because of that knowledge I gained from cooking with pellets where I could focus on the meat, it made me more successful in other pits.
I can see that. I can see that easily. What Pete, we all watch the shows, Rod. We watch the YouTube channels, and you'll turn on one guy and he's saying, you need to be cooking low and slow, and then you click on the next guy and he says, man, you need to be doing hot and fast. That's the new thing in barbecue now. We're going to get a brisket done in a half an hour, and we're going to be cooking at 450 degrees and whatnot. And people come into my store and ask me all the time, what do you do, Steve? And I sure don't do low and slow, but man, I sure don't cook at 400 degrees, because your window of bad luck opportunity is so large at hot and fast and so small at low and slow. somebody comes to you, Rod, and at your school or one of your classes, what do you tell them?
Well, again, it's not a very sexy answer, but I tell them there's more than one right way to cook barbecue. If you're cooking low and slow, yes, it takes you 14, 16 hours to cook a big old brisket or a couple of big old pork butts, but your opportunity to screw those up is a lot less than if you're cooking it at 300 degrees or 275. It's like taking a curb at 40 mile an hour versus taking a curb at 90 mile an hour. I mean, your odds of success are better the slower you go. And I think that's the very single one thing about competition barbecue that confuses the backyard cook, the guy who's aspiring to cook great food, is they see us, cooking stuff really hot. But what they don't know is the only real reason, in my mind, that hot and fast cook came about was so guys could get more sleep and feel better on Saturday during turn-in. And I achieved that by cooking with pellets when I did it. I put my meat on at 6 o'clock on Friday night, but I slammed those doors shut and didn't open them again until 7 a.m. the next morning. But other ways to do that on other pits is to cook it hotter. I think Myron is really, truly, I believe that Myron Mixon was the first guy to really show that off. Cooking at 325, I mean, he'd show up at his cook site at 5 a.m. and fire those cookers up and start putting meat on at 6 or 7 a.m. And then other guys started trying to emulate that style of cook on other pits. But I'm a low and slow guy at heart. I understand the hot and fast cook. I understand the reason for it. But I think it's more stressful and less enjoyable to cook that way.
I do too. I just they watch they'll watch the shows, and they'll want to I guess emulate the people they like, and I try to tell people find something in the middle. If you don't want to be there 16 hours, but you want to enjoy a cook 6 or 7 hours, pick 265. Pick the temperature you want. And like you said, those pellet grills, that's what's perfect about them. You can experiment with different temperatures, and then take a few notes, and then you can create your own timeline, and you can almost make the meat cook to the timeline that you want. You're not really held slave to the meat.
No, you're absolutely right, Steve. You're absolutely right. The one thing I'd say about pellet pits, and I was just on a podcast, there was a 2-hour pellet forum with about 6 of us there. The one thing about cooking hot and fast on pellets is the hotter you cook on pellets, the less smoke you get. And that's already one of the knocks of pellet cookers, is they're a really light smoke. I don't think it's undesirable, but it's light. But if you crank the thing up to 300, 325 degrees, it's going to burn so clean and efficiently, it's going to be very little smoke.
Right. But, there's ways around it. You can move it up to the top of the smoker, get it towards the vent. There's tubes you can buy. You can, like you say, there are ways. Rod, you said one thing I like. You played a lot. I played a lot of golf too before barbecue, and the old saying was you can't buy a game, but in barbecue you almost can buy a game.
You can to a point.
Yeah, I try to tell people not to. Stay away from the $99 offset at Walmart and Lowe's, because that's the one I started on, and you'll never get that thing to hold temperature. It will work you to death, and
you'll be frustrated till you quit, Steve.
It almost turned me away. I said I can't. This is crazy. This will take 20 hours to cook, and then you get on YouTube and you see the different cookers and you think I should have saved that $100 and put it towards a good $400 or $500 pellet cooker to start out with.
Yeah.
Hey, the other big thing is flavor. People love. It's amazing to me the when people come in, they look at all the different rubs and they'll look at everything in the store, and then they'll turn to me and go, "What's your favorite?" And I go, not that one. I said, don't ask me that, because I don't have a favorite, but nobody's got a favorite. Rod, it's a combination of things. It's there are people that use your sauce, the next best thing, and they'll combine it with David Bosca's sauce to make their own flavor profile. Talk a little bit about flavor for the backyard cook, that you're not limited to what's in those containers, are you?
Oh, of course not. No. But but you're right. You mentioned that I teach classes, and for the new guys that come, they're looking for a complete recipe. They want times, temps, details, rubs, sauces. They wanted everything so they can just follow it. They don't want to be creative, but creative guys will layer their rubs. You know, they'll pick 2 or 3 rubs and the characters they like the most out of them, and they'll layer them on for their own signature flavor profile, I guess. Ooh, that was a hot spot word from 10 years ago that nobody likes anymore. But the flavors are limitless. It's based on what you decide you want your profile to be, your flavor to be. If you like it a little saltier, then you want a more all-purpose rub, and maybe you want a little more salt than that. Although most all-purpose rubs are pretty salty, but yeah, I get messages all the time where people are using my 2 or 3 rubs and they're layering them in different ways to do different things. And honestly, in competition, I have 3 rubs, Steve, and I used all 3 of them, but in different ways. You know, my black rub, the most powerful stuff is my brisket rub. My 0 to hero is my rib rub. On chicken, it's sweetness and a little bit of most powerful. And on pork butts, it's 50-50, 0 to hero, and most powerful. I'm taking just 3 products. I'm creating 4 different flavors on 4 different meats.
Yeah,
exactly. And people can grab their favorite rubs and do that.
And that's what's the fun. That's what makes barbecue makes it a sport, even for the backyard person, is finding the different recipes, the different the different rubs to share with each other, and so to speak, to come up with a I call it like a signature taste. And I think it's good to have a signature taste, even if you're just cooking in the backyard. Let's talk about sauces, because your Next Best Thing sauce is one of the best sellers in the store, and it is one of the best sauces that we've got. What goes in when you were making that sauce, and what went into it? What were you trying to accomplish that you were trying to convey to judges, which for us would be our parents and our relatives and our friends?
Well, so the background on that sauce is it's my competition brisket sauce. So there are about 3 things here. One, it's as Kansas City style as well. Of the 2, it is my Kansas City style sauce. Kansas City is a tomato-based sauce with some sweetness, a little bit of smoke. So the KC style was number 1. 2, sweet sauces score better in competition barbecue on the KCBS circuit anyway. So I needed to stay in the profile of a Kansas City Barbecue Society style competition sauce. And 3, it needed to complement my brisket. So it needed to be able to stand up to bold beef flavor. And those are 3 things that drove what I created in that sauce. It's thicker and sweeter than my other sauce, IPO, which is thinner, has a twang, and is apple cider vinegar based, but still sweet. But yeah, the next big thing, that's my best seller in Kansas City. And IPO outsells the next big thing over almost the rest of the country once they try it. It's really an odd combination of things. I put the word a Memphis sauce that defected to Kansas City on my IPO sauce, and people in Kansas City won't buy it. But I love both my sauces. I'm very proud of them. I can look anybody in the eye at any time and tell you I use them both in competition. But it's the next big thing's a great sauce, and that's how it came about. Well,
Rod, I tell you, barbecue, I don't think it's going anywhere. We've just hit the tip of the iceberg, because number 1, it's fun. People that cook in the backyard, they like to watch people that compete talk about their barbecue. We'll just look at the proliferation of barbecue videos on the social media, the different pages. What at the Eat Barbecue Factory, I guess, what's coming down the pipeline with more products from Rod Gray and Eat Barbecue? I love that name, by the way. It's perfect. It's just
thank
perfect.
you, Steve. The Eat name came from the idea of those old neon signs on the old 2-lane highways for a place for a trucker to stop and grab a bite to eat. That's how it originated, and then it went somewhere else after we started designing it. I don't have, I mean, I have a lot of different ideas swirling around in my head. When I created that line of rubs and sauces, the idea was I'd only create things that I used in competition. I think it's time to go beyond that a little bit.
I do too.
Sweetness is a really great rub. It's based off Zero to Hero, but it's a no MSG rub. And with just some minor tweaks to Zero to Hero, remove the MSG and a couple of things, it's a completely different rub, and I'm very proud of it. I need a sauce to complement it. So the first thing was probably going to be a sauce to complement sweetness. From there, I'd like to do some different things. There's a lot, but here's the thing. I have a lot of friends that are from the circuit. There's so many products on the market. They're all really great. All of them are really great. I mean, there are 10 really amazing rubs to any bad rub you run across, and there are 20 really amazing sauces to any mediocre sauce you might run across. So there's so many great products. It's a hard market to continue to crack something into. But there might be a couple things coming. This year's been strange for everybody.
Sure.
It's been a really great year to sell barbecue products because folks are cooking in their backyard.
Yep.
I think 2021 is going to be similar to that. So there'll be probably a couple things come that'll be interesting.
But the thing in business, Rod, usually the pie doesn't get bigger, but in the barbecue sector, the pie is getting bigger because there's more and more people entering it. You've got more and more young people getting into it, and that's what I like. So, I mean, I'm getting, we get 20, 25-year-olds that are they're all cooking on pellets, and they're not interested in fire management, but they're interested in one thing, that's flavor, and that's why I think that's what that's why I'm so excited to be having the store and having you in it, and all the different products that we have. That people are looking for good, solid, quality products, and your Eat certainly fits that bill. It certainly into the top 5 that I've got in the store.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate that, and I love to hear that young people are getting into this. I think they'll master this craft, and then they'll raise their heads up and look around a little bit and try a different style of cooker just so they can try something different. So that's perfect for the industry, for the business, for competition, for everything. For you, for me, for everybody.
It sure is. Rod Gray, thank you so much. The time flies. I could talk to you for hours and hours and hours, but we'll get you back on next year when things are changing. We'll get you back on, get an update from Rod Gray, Pellet Envy, and Eat Barbecue. Okay, Rod, thank you so much for your time, and go enjoy your Friday night out there in the middle of America.
Thanks, Steve.
You bet. We'll talk to you soon, Rod. That's Rod Gray, everyone, from Kansas, Pellet Envy, Pitmaster. We're going to be right back. We're going to take a short break. You're listening to The Barbecue Show, sponsored by the Owl's Nest Barbecue Supply and Pro Shop in Ooltewah. You're listening to us on Talk Radio 102.3 WGOW. We'll be right back.
You're overwhelmed with information overload. We help you make sense of the news and give you a chance to respond. All opinions welcome. 102.3 WGOW FM.
The reviews have been read and the verdict has been delivered. For value, ease of use, dependability, and great tasting food, the judges...
Hey, Steve.
Yeah.
Hey, we just had... could you hear the music, by the way?
Yeah.
Okay. We got John on hold. He just called in about a minute or two ago.
Okay.
So are you still going to take this next break at 40?
Yeah, I'll hit it at 40. I sure will. Maybe 42, something like that.
Okay, as long as, because we have, let me see here.
I can do it because I can keep David. See, I can keep David over on the Facebook side.
Okay. All right. So, all right, round 40.
I'll get it. Is David on?
And John.
Yes,
John's
I'm
on
here.
the phone.
Okay.
Okay.
Thanks, Joe. Hey, David.
Hey, Steve.
You'll hear me when I introduce you, so just...
Call 423-894-6964 to learn more about C&M Disposal.
All right.
Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider and are only available if the provider determines a prescription is appropriate. Subscription required. See website for full details and important safety information.
Hey guys, good news. The outrageously expensive little blue pill is now generic, which means you can get the prescription medication to treat ED at affordable prices. And Hims makes it extra affordable. You pay just $30 for a month's supply. And right now, get your first online doctor's visit totally free when you go to 4hims.com/joy. That's right. Free, zero copay, no expensive appointments, no awkward face-to-face conversations to get your prescription. Hims connects you to doctors online who can evaluate you and, if appropriate, prescribe your ED medication. And a pharmacy sends it right to your door. Hims makes it affordable, private, and incredibly easy. Nobody likes dealing with ED. Now, thanks to Hims, nobody has to. And that's really good news. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, 4hims.com/joy. That's 4hims.com/joy for your free online visit. FORHIMS.com/joy.
Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider and are only available if the provider determines a prescription is appropriate. Subscription required. See website for full details and important safety information.
Hey guys, good news. The outrageously expensive little blue pill is now generic, which means you can get the prescription medication to treat ED at affordable prices. And Hims makes it extra affordable. You pay just $30 for a month's supply. And right now, get your first online doctor's visit totally free. 4hims.com/radio. That's right, free. Zero copay, no expensive appointments, no awkward face-to-face conversations to get your prescription. Hims connects you to doctors online who can evaluate you and, if appropriate, prescribe your ED medication. And a pharmacy sends it right to your door. Hims makes it affordable, private, and incredibly easy. Nobody likes dealing with ED. Now, thanks to Hims, nobody has to. And that's really good news. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, 4hims.com/radio. That's 4hims.com/radio for your free online visit. FORHIMS.com/RADIO.
Talk Radio 102.3.
Hey, welcome back to the Barbecue Show. This is Steve Ray. We're sponsored by the Owl's Nest Barbecue Supply and Pro Shop. Our number is 423-267-1023. Before we go to our next guest, let's go to John, who's been on line one. John, what's up?
Hey, well, glad to hear you again. Listen, I have a Dodge Caravan that I'm kidding.
That was funny. That's very funny. That's very funny.
Well, all the stuff that you talked about in the last 30 minutes, does that work on a gas grill?
Yes, to some extent, John. You can set up a gas grill to cook offset just by turning one side on and leaving one side off and keeping the lid closed. You create kind of a convection oven. Yeah. You can actually cook low and slow. I did one of the best beef tenderloins I've ever done in my life was on a gas grill, cooking it like that, and it was delicious.
Because my wife loves the tenderloin and everything, but I just can't seem to cook them right.
Well, tenderloin, you need to cook it about.
They come out tough. Go ahead.
If you cook it at about 300 degrees, it depends on what size of tenderloin you have. If we're talking beef now, you're only going to cook it to 135, maybe 138 degrees, and pull it off and let it rest, and it'll go to 140, 142, and it'll be a nice medium rare. You might want to try to do. Go ahead.
With that said, you need a temperature gauge and stick it in, and because that's what I tend to just burn them.
Well, buy a thermometer, John. They're not that expensive. We've got instant read thermometers in my store for $20. That's the most important tool. There's two tools. There's two tools that a professional barbecue person has all the time. It's a thermometer and a Cambro, something to put the meat in to keep it warm. Those are the two most important tools in a competition cook's trailer, I think. But that thermometer is number one.
She used to sell Pampered Chef, and we had some thermometers that she got, but it didn't seem to quite work.
Well, I I can't speak to that, but I can tell you the ones that we've got do work. But John, thanks for listening to the show, man. I really appreciate it. And if you're ever out in Ooltewah, come by and see us, man. We appreciate it. Hey, real quick, I want to say thank you to Tim Cloud from Flintstone, Georgia. Tim drove all the way from Flintstone up to Ooltewah, and he bought a Green Mountain Grill pizza stone. He's learning to cook pizzas, and I appreciate Tim coming up. And also Al Hargis, my buddy that owns American HVAC out in Ooltewah, he came up today and bought a Green Mountain Grill Davy Crockett, the little small portable pellet-fired grill. So the Hargis family will be eating well this weekend on their new Green Mountain Grill. Hey, my next guest, now I'm telling you, now he's from right here, y'all. He's right here in our area. He's a competitor. He is the partner and best known for cooking huge quantities of meat for charities, family, and civic clubs. Three Knocks Barbecue was the winner. That's David's team. Was the winner of the 2019 Barbecue Brawl People's Choice Award here in Ooltewah. I just can't. David Bacon, welcome to the Barbecue Show. How you doing, man?
Thank you, Steve. I'm doing well. It's great to be on here. It's certainly a privilege, and I'm honored that you've even asked me to join your show, especially trying to follow a guy like Rod Gray, you know.
Yeah, that's you're in rarefied air there. David, you when you called me, I was a little taken aback last week when you called me and we talked about that brisket. And then I was taken aback by the fact that you were struggling in brisket with all the meat that you and Lamar have cooked over the years. What was your uncertainty and what was your apprehensions about brisket?
I'm going to talk a little bit about something Rod had mentioned, and he was talking about patience. Don't try to rush it, hurry up and try it and everything. Yeah. And that was kind of where I was. And I had more of a passion through most of my life with it. When you're slow cooking, that's more the pork and everything. And beef was more for the grill, pork's for the smoker type deal and everything. So there wasn't really a passion with doing brisket as much. And then I started thinking, man, I'm behind. I'm far behind on brisket, and I've got to develop a passion to kind of master this cut of meat also. And that was when I really recognized that I've got to have more patience with it and everything, because when you start pulling this large cut of meat off of your grill too early, you're tough, and then when you start cutting too early, you're bleeding out and everything. So it was tough, it was dry, it wasn't that great. And so I really took my time on this one. This one was the game changer. This one I feel accomplished, It's what I've told a lot of folks about this particular brisket that I just cooked. So
hey, let's don't jump ahead of ourselves now. When you were going, I call nobody calls me this except myself. I call myself the brisket whisperer because I love. There's nothing more than I love is cooking a brisket, and I cook the whole packer. And I'm kind of a geek, David. When I go to the store, when I go to Walmart to get mine, I'll look in the counter there where they keep it. And if I don't see one I like, I go back to the door, and all those guys know me, and they'll let me go back there and root through the cases till I find one that I like. When you picked yours out, did you do a lot of little searching? Did you move some aside and look at them, or did you just grab one and say this is the one?
Well, oddly enough, typically I'm looking for the right brisket, and I'm going through everything they have there. This one was different, and when I picked this one up, you could tell it was ready to cook. The wet age on it, it was flexible in the cryovac, and the marbling on it and everything. It was perfect.
Did you look at the flat? Did you look at the flat and see how thick it was?
Absolutely. The flat, and that's where the first part of marbling that I noticed was actually in the flat, believe it or not. And I was like, man, if a flat looks this special, Let's flip it over and see what our point looks like, which you've got a lot more fat, surface fat there on the point, so you can't really see into it. But
hey, David, hold that
I
thought.
could just imagine.
Hold that thought a minute.
Right.
I want to take a break. I want to take this next break, and then you and I will have plenty of time to get into that meat selection and talk about that flat a little bit. Okay, so we just hang on. We're going to take a real quick break. You're listening to The Barbecue Show, sponsored by Owl's Nest Barbecue Supply and Pro Shop in Ooltewah on Talk Radio 102.3 WGOW. We'll be right back with David Bacon of Three Knocks Barbecue. Stay with us.
Don't miss a minute weekdays. Start at 8.
I want to clear this break, David,
for you to
so I
win
have plenty of time.
$100. Text the national keyword
Yeah,
to
And you know what?
959.
And you know what?
Today for the 100.
Everybody watching
Winners
on Facebook
qualifying
too,
for $25,000.
we don't have
Listen
to
to
stop
win
at
on
8.
Talk
We'll
102.3.
stop the radio
This is
podcast
Steve Rain. For 36
at 8
years, my
o'clock.
Midnight
We're
Oil
not done
Service and
talking,
Michelin
David.
Tire Direct
We can just take
have
a real
served
quick
the
break at the top
Ooltewah
of
and
the hour
surrounding
sign
areas
off
with
on
auto
the
repair,
radio.
service,
And we
towing,
can keep
and of
the,
course,
Facebook
Michelin
show
tires.
going for as long
Michelin
as
is
we
the
need to
industry
cover
standard.
everything, okay?
You can't buy or use a better tire.
Okay,
With their
it's
great
hard to
price
hear you
and
over
value,
the radio,
we make
but
buying Michelin tires.
I did
You buy
hear
the tires,
we
they
can
pay
keep
nothing
going.
else.
I'm good
Bounty
with that.
balance, lifetime rotation.
Tire stand.
Steve,
Yeah, Joe.
next one at 50.
Yes, please.
Okay.
Thank you.
Sure.
If you're just joining us, you're
Weed
watching
eater,
the Owl's
and your
Nest
leaf
on
blower,
the barbecue
you need
show,
non-ethanol
sponsored by
fuel, we have it
the Owl's
at the
Nest
Midnight
Barbecue
Oil in
Supply and Pro
Ooltewah.
Shop
Call
in
me or
Ooltewah.
Harrison at
Joe Varner
643-1111
back in the
and
studio
get your
producing the
price
radio show.
on your set of Michelin.
Jeff
That's
Maxwell back at his house, hosting
643-1111,
the Facebook
the Midnight
chat.
Oil in
Aaron Carver
Ooltewah.
here with me.
I've heard it all.
In the
The guy at the
studio,
other tire store
producing,
said they were as
directing
good as Michelin.
the Facebook
I'm not
site.
going to have this car much longer, so I don't need Michelin. I like to have Michelin, but they cost me stuff in. Let me assure you, there is no tire as good as a Michelin. You need the best tire, and that's Michelin. At the Midnight Oil in
Simulcasting to
Ooltewah, we make Michelin
WGOW.
tires affordable. Call
Talk
us
Radio
at Midnight Oil
102.3. You can
for
actually listen to the radio
3-1111.
broadcast if you
Give us
want
your
to.
size, get your price.
It's on
Because the leader in tires is
WGOW.com.
Midnight Oil in Ooltewah.
WGOW.com.
Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider and are only available if the provider determines a prescription is appropriate. Subscription required. See website for full details and important safety information.
Hey guys, good news. The outrageously expensive little blue
Aaron,
pill
how we
is
sounding
now
over
generic,
there?
which means you
We
can get the
sounding good?
prescription
Aaron gave
medication
me a
to treat
thumbs
ED at affordable prices. And Hims makes it extra affordable. You pay just $30 for a month's supply. And right now, get your first online doctor's visit totally free when you go to forhims.com/joy.
Appreciate
That's right,
everybody coming
free.
out last week
Zero
to the open
copay,
house
no
we had.
expensive appointments, no
Out at the
awkward
store, if you were
face-to-face
listening, if you were out
conversations
there.
to get your
We had a
prescription.
great
Hims
time.
connects you to doctors online who can evaluate you and, if appropriate, prescribe your ED medication. And a pharmacy sends it right to your door. Hims makes it affordable, private, and incredibly easy. Nobody likes dealing with ED. Now, thanks to Hims, nobody has to. And that's really good news. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, forhims.com/joy. That's forhims.com/joy for your free online visit. forhims.com/joy.
Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider and are only available if the provider determines a prescription is appropriate. Subscription required. See website for full details and important safety information.
Hey guys, good news. The outrageously expensive little blue pill is now generic, which means you can get the prescription medication to treat ED at affordable prices. And Hims makes it extra affordable. You pay just $30 for a month's supply. And right now, get your first online doctor's visit totally free. forhims.com/radio. That's right. Free, zero copay, no expensive appointments, no awkward face-to-face conversations to get your prescription. Hims connects you to doctors online who can evaluate you and, if appropriate, prescribe your ED medication. And a pharmacy sends it right to your door. Hims makes it affordable, private, and incredibly easy. Nobody likes dealing with ED. Now, thanks to Hims, nobody has to. And that's really good news. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address, forhims.com/radio. That's forhims.com/radio for your free online visit. forhims.com/radio.
A lot of people pay with debit cards, others deal only with cash. At WGOW, our currency is national keywords. We shell those out every hour for 10 hours. Weekdays starting at 8 a.m. You cash those in for $100 and a shot at $25,000. Text and drive. Complete rules at WGOW.com. No phone, alternate entry online.
the 25K payday from WGOW. Download the TuneIn app now so you can take the Talkmaster with you wherever you go.
Talk Radio 102.3.
All right, we're back. The Barbecue Show brought to you by the Owl's Nest Barbecue Supply and Pro Shop in Ottawa. 423-267-1023. That is our phone number. We're on the line with David Bacon, local barbecue sensation, pitmaster at 3 Knox Barbecue, and the absolute best name for a barbecue guy, David Bacon, that was ever invented. All right, David, let's pick it back up now. You're in the store looking for that brisket. Tell everybody how important it is to make sure that brisket has a good thick flat on it.
Yeah, that's your flat is it is, to me, that's the most delicate part of the entire cut there. To me, you need the thick part of the flat, because by the time you get the fat and everything rendered down, you need the thickness there of that flat to be able to survive that part of the cook, because you're going to such a higher temperature and everything to render that fat, So if that flat was too thin, then it's just going to fall apart by the time you get that fat rendered and everything, and nobody wants fall apart flat, So in order to maintain, for the structure to be maintained, and once you slice it and everything, it needs to be thick enough to, to be able to come out of that.
Well, David, everybody, I think that's where people make their biggest mistake is in selecting a brisket. They'll pick a brisket and the flat's just not thick enough to cook, and they'll normally either overcook it or undercook it, and they try to cook it, and there's just sometimes a piece of meat can't be cooked, at a low and slow or a barbecue pace. If you get a brisket that's just too thin, you're not going to be able to cook it. You might as well just trim it and throw it away, or trim it for hamburger meat, because it's never going to be good. You know what I mean? It's just too thin.
Yeah, sure do.
It's just going to be a big fat glob. So what did you do? The method you put it in, did you inject it?
No. The method I did on this one, I chose to use the KISS method. Are you familiar with it?
Mm-hmm. I know what that stands
for. To keep it simple, stupid. And I've overcomplicated brisket in the past, so I kept this one very simple. I was a little aggressive on the trimming and everything, because I wanted to, around the decal and everything, I wanted to get a good exposure on the point for some good surface bark and everything. But outside of that, I went very lightly with just salt and pepper, no injection or anything, and just I would have liked to have used pecan and cherry on this. I kind of leaned that way with beef, but I went straight hickory on this one. That was it. And keeping it simple, I was able to concentrate on what I feel like was important for that particular cook that day, and do my fire management and paying close attention to, the high spots and the brisket and everything, and making sure I didn't overdo part of this, this part of the brisket before this part was ready or anything,
Which
I kept it simple.
Which vessel did you cook it on?
I cooked it on my HBT Weekender, my 60-inch Weekender.
Which is an offset stick burner.
Reverse flow, that's right.
And did you cook it fat side up or fat side down?
Fat side down.
Okay. All right, you've already done 2 things that I didn't recommend, but that's okay. We're still working on this brisket. Now, when it came to what kind of temperature did you cook at? Did you get your brisket up to? I mean, on the cooker, rather. Sorry.
Oh, the cooker. I averaged 275.
Okay,
Yep.
So that's pretty hot and fast. I mean, it's pretty not crazy hot and fast, but it's not 240. You weren't looking for a 24-hour cook, were you?
No, I sure wasn't.
And did you cook it in a pan, or did you just lay it on the grate?
No, right on the rack.
Okay.
It stayed on the rack.
And did you face the point towards the heat or away from it?
Toward.
Okay. So so far you're textbook. Okay. Now we're going to take another real quick break. When we come back, we're going to get into wrapping. Okay, David?
All right. Sounds good.
So just hang on. This is a real short break. So you just hang on. You're listening to The Barbecue Show, sponsored by the Owl's Nest Barbecue Supply and Pro Shop in Ottawa on Talk Radio 102.3 WGOW. And we'll be right back. Stay with us.
News, sports, weather, right now traffic, and the Chattanooga conversation you crave. Folks you know, taking your comments, no matter where you're coming from. 102.3 The Talk Monster.
Hey, it's Brian Joyce here for Chattanooga Family Chiropractic. Hopefully you've never experienced back or neck problems, but if you have, it's not fun. The pain can really limit your mobility and how you feel. Sometimes these are chronic, long-term problems. Oftentimes you strain or hurt yourself around the house, working out, or even in a car accident. If you have back or neck pain and want to get it corrected, go where I go, Chattanooga Family Chiropractic. Doctors Nathan and Rebecca Warren, they're great. They've kept me moving and feeling great for a lot of years. They treat the whole body, not just the symptoms of your discomfort. They offer family wellness and prevention, and they treat patients of any age. Call Chattanooga Family Chiropractic 423-362-5360 to schedule your appointment today. Chattanooga Family Chiropractic 423-362-5360. And don't miss their radio show Saturday mornings at 10 a.m. They offer listeners special pricing on an initial visit. Chattanooga Family Chiropractic. They're just off Shaliford Road next to Home Depot. Give them a call at 423-362-5360.
This is Steve Ray, and for 36 years, my Midnight Oil Service and Michelin Tire Direct have served the Ottawa and surrounding areas with auto repair, service, towing, and, of course, Michelin tires. Michelin is the industry standard. You can't buy or use a better tire. And with our great prices and values, you'll see just how affordable we make buying Michelin tires. You buy the tire and pay for nothing else. Mounting, balancing, lifetime rotation, tire repairs, and road hazard, they're all free and included. We have the latest high-tech tire changers and balancers for the perfect installation. We also have all 3 grades of gasoline without ethanol for your hot rod mower, weed eater, and your leaf blower. You need non-ethanol fuel, and we have it at the Midnight Oil in Ottawa. Call me or Harrison at 643-1111 and get your price on your set of Michelins. That's 643-1111, the Midnight Oil in Ottawa.
I know you've been looking for a place like this, well, so was I. And that's how the Owl's Nest Barbecue Supply and Pro Shop began. The best selection of barbecue rubs, sauces, supplies, and friendly advice in the Chattanooga area. You want a rub that's sweet but not too spicy? You've got it. You want a mustard-based sauce? We've got that too. Need it? We've got it. At the Owl's Nest Barbecue Supply and Pro Shop in Ottawa. It's where Chattanooga goes to barbecue.
Prescription products require an online consultation with a healthcare provider and are only available if the provider determines a prescription is appropriate. Subscription required. See website for full details.
Hey, Steve.
Yeah.
We'll have about 4 minutes when we get back, okay?
Okay. Is there a red zone tonight?
Yes.
Okay.
I'll chime in when we have 1 minute to go.
All right. Thank you.
Free. forhims.com/radio. That's right. Free. Zero copay, no expensive appointments, no awkward face-to-face conversations to get your prescription. Hims connects you to doctors online who can evaluate you and, if appropriate, prescribe your ED medication. And a pharmacy sends it right to your door. Hims makes it affordable, private, and incredibly easy. Nobody likes dealing with ED. Now, thanks to Hims, nobody has to. And that's really good news. To start your free online visit, you need to go to this exclusive address. forhims.com/radio. That's forhims.com/radio for your free online visit. forhims.com/radio. We're all ready to put 2020 behind us. What if I told you there's a chance for you to end the year $25,000 richer? Listen weekdays starting at 8. Your chance to win $100 every hour through 5. Every winner eligible to win the grand prize of $25,000. The 25K payday. Listen for the national keyword on WGOW. Text to 95819. For contest rules and details, click WGOW.com.
If you're not smiling, then you're not listening to Sport Talk. Quake, 30 years in the air chair. Cowboy Joe, a Talk Team member for more than 20.
Work.
Afternoons at 3 on Talk Radio 102.3 FM.
Talk Radio 102.3 FM, the Talk Monster.
All right, we're back with David Bacon of Three Knocks Barbecue. All right, David, at what temperature did you wrap your brisket?
I'm trying to remember, Steve, because it was I wrapped it color, and
color.
I did check because I was kind of starting a database, I guess you'd say, on brisket, and I believe I was around 163, 165ish, somewhere right in there.
Were you taking
in the flat?
Where were you? Okay, were you taking temperatures in the flat then, and not the point?
I did.
Okay,
that's right.
Did you monitor the point any?
I did, and I heard something in a small, still voice, like a whisper from this guy that knows briskets pretty well, and he was like, "Hey, monitor or pull it at 210 on your brisket or on the point." And I was like, "Point? I've never monitored the point, but I did on this one, and you had suggested that, and that I appreciate that suggestion."
Now, what did you wrap with? This is, other than fat side up or fat side down, the wrapping of a brisket, and those people listening know that it's one of the most controversial aspects of barbecue brisket. What did you wrap it with?
I wrapped it with peach butcher paper.
Butcher paper. And
That's right.
And I said I recommended foil. And
oh yeah, you told me it'd turn out terrible if I used butcher paper.
I didn't say that. I said it's a mess. And it was,
yeah,
wasn't
it? It was a mess.
It was a mess, wasn't it?
No, it wasn't a mess. It was not a mess at all.
Now, what made you pick the butcher paper, David?
Here's what I wanted. The last couple briskets that I did, I had developed a good bark, and I lost it in the fall. I lost the bark that I worked hard for in the fall, and it just loosened it back up a little more than what I wanted for my backyard, Yeah. And so I knew with the butcher paper I was going to still obtain more smoke and everything. And I wasn't going to take on any more smoke flavor. It was at its peak, but the smoke was going to help finish the bark up, and it did. It did just that.
So David,
1 minute, Phil. 1 minute.
Okay, thanks, Joe. So David, were you looking for a hard like a hard crusty bark on your brisket?
I was somewhat. I mean, I didn't want it so hard that you couldn't, break through it with a knife or a chisel. But I did want a good crusty bark, and almost a crunch when you bit down into the slice. Not quite a crunch, but almost. And then I wanted it to get into this extremely tender piece of meat, between the barks.
Okay. I want you to hold on. We're going to go into overtime, okay? We're going to say goodbye to all of our listeners on Talk Radio, but I want you to hang on because we're going to continue the broadcast on the Owl's Nest Barbecue Facebook page. You've been listening, everybody at WGOW. Thank you for listening to us on Talk Radio. We're here every Friday night at 7, The Barbecue Show. I'm Steve Ray. We'll answer all your barbecue questions. Tell your friends about us. Tell us we're on the air because weekends are for barbecue, and the weekends are for the barbecue show right here on Talk Radio. This is Steve Ray, and we'll see you back here next Friday night. The Red Zone is next right here on WGOW. We'll see you Friday. Until then, good night and good luck. All right, you still there, David?
I am.
All right, good deal. All right, everybody, thanks for all the Facebook listeners and watchers. Thanks for staying with us. We'll still here. Now, David, on this, on the brisket, it sounds like it sounds like the biggest thing I think you may have done different was be a little bit more patient with the cook. How long did it take you to get this brisket done?
From the time I put it on the smoker until I pulled it off to let it rest, it was 10-hour cook time.
Wow. And you cooked at 275 degrees. And how big was that? How big was the brisket?
It was right at 19 pounds before I trimmed. I probably trimmed good 2.5, maybe 3 pounds off.
Mm-hmm. Now, my friend Jeff Rice up in Wisconsin has just sent us a note, David, that says there's nothing wrong with butcher paper. Now, I didn't say there was anything wrong with butcher paper. I said I don't use butcher paper because I always feel that it just gets nasty and oily and messy, and that's why I prefer foil, because I like to capture the au jus in it. But let's get to the slices. And Jeff, thanks for listening, and thanks for watching up in Wisconsin. And I must admit, David, I have wrapped several briskets in butcher paper, and they do come out nice. And I'm not adverse to that. It's just foil is my product of choice now. But be that as it may, let's talk about when you got it done. Let's talk about the slices, man, and how they looked. Was the did you pull it at 210 in the flat, or did you pull it at 210 in the point?
In the point. I pulled it at 210 in the point.
Okay. Did you by chance probe the flat to see how hot it was?
I did, and surprisingly, it was less than the point.
Really?
I was expecting it to be. Yep, I was expecting it to be a couple degrees higher, but it was the other way around. It was. I want to say it was about 203 or 204.
That's pretty darn close. Because remember I said it would the flat will follow the point, so that's pretty doggone close. Now tell us about, normally when they serve brisket in Texas, they say, do you want fatty or do you want lean, which is wet, dry. Some people use wet, dry, and of course the dry being the flat, and the slices coming from it. How was the moisture in the flat?
The moisture was good in the flat.
Mm-hmm.
Now I was on the phone with Lamar when I first started slicing it, and because it was, I ended up going past supper time. That's what I was actually planning to eat for supper Tuesday night, and I was like, nope, it's not ready, and I'm not cranking temperatures up. I'm staying patient with this one.
I like it.
So I came in and cooked something else. Yeah.
Okay.
But we, I was on the phone with him, and about the first third of the way up the flat, it was just crumbling. And I said, man, I've overshot. But I hit that sweet spot in that flat, and it didn't matter the width of my slices. I was trying to stay around like a number 2 pencil width.
Right.
And I went that way, and I would fold it over the knife blade. It held. It would pull apart real easy. It was moist, and then I went thinner slices. It stayed together. I went a little thicker. It stayed together. I was like, man, I have nailed my first brisket. I've nailed it. So I was proud of that one. But it took that first third way up on the flat. It was. I was like, man, all I'm going to eat off this one's the point, it looks like. And then I finally, like I said, I hit that sweet spot in the flat, and it just, every slice thereafter was perfect.
David, I don't think anybody gets those first few slices on a flat that are perfect. I think they all crumble because they're so thin. And I think a lot of restaurants probably just cut that right off and put that in their taco mix.
Or chili.
And that's a great use of it too. When you got up to the point, though, tell me about how that point was.
The point was like in one of the pictures you had up there a few minutes ago. I was standing beside Carrie Bringle,
right? And
from Peg Leg Porker, and Carrie Bringle says, brisket is not Tennessee barbecue. And I've agreed with him for a very long time. But when I got to this point, I said, this is barbecue right here. This is what the reward of this particular cook is. It was just, man, you would think that I had brisket colored Jello sitting there, the way it just kind of bounced around and the moisture that was coming out of it and everything. It was perfect.
The jiggle, the brisket jiggle. That is.
It did, man.
That's a beautiful sight, isn't it? That's a beautiful
It sure
sight.
is.
And that Jeff Rice up in Wisconsin brought up a good point in the chat room that you don't have to wrap a brisket. No, you don't. You don't have to wrap a brisket at all, Jeff. You're exactly right. It's just some people call it a crutch. I just like to power through the stall. That's the way I was taught, and I've just cooked so many like that. I don't like to. David, the thing about it is whether you use foil or you use paper, there's no right or wrong way. Whether you do it fat side up, fat side down, and I like to kid about the fat side up and fat side down thing. But as long as you find a procedure and a method that you can work with and you can duplicate at will, and that's what I like to do on my briskets. I can take a brisket, I can put it on my cooker, set the temperature of what I usually set it for, and I can duplicate that cook pretty much at will, unless something funky with the meat or something like that, or unless I got just a lousy flat or too much fat, or if I didn't trim enough off. Getting back, I appreciate everybody staying with us. We got a lot of people watching, Dave, because brisket is. David, it's the holy grail of barbecue, I think. That and the whole hog. If you can confidently walk up to a naked brisket sitting there on the counter that hasn't been trimmed, and you can grab your knife and just start going towards it without any fear or worrying about making a mistake. It's just like walking up to a whole hog. You just know what to do with it. It doesn't intimidate you. I think you'll be a better cook of that protein. Do you think that too?
Oh, absolutely. I sure do. And going in with confidence, that confidence takes a minute to build, and you've got to learn your smoker and everything, and don't overcomplicate things, but do the parts well, and be willing to adjust if you need to, and on the things you don't know well, and you will achieve it. And I want to say one more thing about Kerry Bringle. One of the things he told me, as a matter of fact, when that picture was taken, I had asked him. I said, "Hey, we're my buddy Lamar and I, we're going to start competing. You got any words of wisdom you'd like to give?" And he said, "Yeah, when it's not fun anymore, quit." And I said, "Really?" He said, "Yeah, go in and do it for the fun." And man, he's right. If you can't have fun at it, and if it's a job and that you don't enjoy doing, your product's not going to be what it should. You gotta have love.
Yeah, you do. You have to have a love for barbecue, a love for competing. I mean, I love it. I love competing at every level, whether it's one of our silly little contests that we have down here in Ooltewah, or a World Food Championship, or a KCBS event. I love cooking them all. I mean, I love it. I absolutely love competition barbecue. But I also like cooking for my friends and cooking for events like you guys do. The amount of meat that you and Lamar cook sometimes just astounds me, and as often as y'all do it, because it's just incredible, the amounts of food that y'all cook for all these civic organizations, for your churches, for your clubs that y'all are in. Y'all are you're good at this, and I know you look at 60 pork butts and you go, that's nothing, that's no hill for a climber, let's just get it done.
No.
And I bet you feel that same way. That's the way I feel about a brisket. We did 22 briskets for an event we had last summer here in Ooltewah, and people go, 22 briskets. I said, yeah, and I loved every minute of it, and it didn't intimidate me, and by golly, everyone came out good except that little teeny lousy one that I had back in that left corner of the smoker that turned into a hamburger. But other than that, man, every one of them turned out great, and I just love doing them. Isn't that weird? You get into one meat. You know, it's kind of strange, isn't it? But
it can be, but it's good, and there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. We kind of get in zones, and we did a fundraiser I think it was about 3 weeks ago, and this has become an annual fundraiser. This is when we raise money to buy a service dog for a PTSD veteran. Mm-hmm. We've bought 8 so far by people's love of barbecue. And selling pork butts to get there. We cooked 1,400 pounds of pork butts, and in one day. And so you get in that zone. You know what's got to happen, when it's got to happen. It all just flows, and it's rewarding anyway because you're doing such a good cause. But here's what that is the most rewarding part. The charity side is the most rewarding part, but there's reward in it also. The majority of these butts that we sell are from the repeat customers that we have, and they appreciate what we're doing, but they can enjoy what they're getting out of it too, you know.
Right.
And man, that's the best compliment in the world, is for not to sell the first one, but to sell, you know, the 7th, 8th, 9th one down the road to the same guy, and that's awesome.
Yeah, when they come back, because they, you know, like when they say, I can't wait till y'all have another cook or something like that, it does make you feel good. David Bacon, thank you so much for being with us. 3 Knocks Barbecue, your partner Lamar chimed in on chat, hashtag 3 Knocks Nation, and I love it. I love every minute of it. But I appreciate you being on the show, David. You were great, and I'm glad that brisket turned out. And I know you and I and Lamar and Jeff and Frank, and we'll all get together again, and we'll be cooking something real soon, as soon as this situation gets under control. Hopefully in the spring, we'll crank up some more contests up there at Cambridge Square.
Yeah, for sure, Steve. I appreciate you asking me to be on the show. It was a privilege to be on tonight's show, especially with Rod Gray and everything. And if we've interested anyone in what we're doing, you can find us on Facebook or Instagram at 3 Knocks Barbecue, and like our pages, and feel free to ask us any questions anytime.
You got it, David. Thank you so much. All right.
Thank you, Steve.
Thank you so much. Cut him off, Aaron, if you would. Everybody, thanks for watching. Rod Gray, thank you so much for being on the first part of the show. David Bacon, thank you so much for being on the second part of the show. We will be back here next Friday night at 7. Joe Varner in the studios at WGOW doing the radio side. Aaron Carver here with me doing the Facebook side. Jeff Maxwell at his house monitoring the chat. And I'll be the conduit with all these guys putting the show together for you. Hope you enjoyed it. And I hope you'll join us next Friday night here on the Barbecue Show, sponsored by the Owl's Nest Barbecue Supply and Pro Shop. And we are open tomorrow. We open at 8 o'clock for all your barbecue needs in the area. Come to the Owl's Nest Barbecue Supply and Pro Shop. It's where Chattanooga goes to barbecue. And until next Friday night, good luck. Let's see. No, it's good night and good luck. That's what Edward R. Murrow used to always say. Play the end, Aaron. Let's get out of here.